All right, hello everyone. It has been a little while since I've talked about these ancient megalithic sites, and I've finally figured out OBS. So I think I'm just gonna see if I can convince some people that they had advanced technologies in the deep past. Before it starts completely, just please appreciate this AI generated picture here. Pretty cool. Each one of these sites, all of them, they all have this megalithic polygonal granite stacking method of making these buildings, and they're all on these energetic nodes of the planet. Why? Well, it's theorized that these places are energy generators. I just want to share some of the intricacy and just how perfect these structures are. And here's a really good example. This is granite right here, and this is from the Brothers of the Serpent YouTube channel. Clearly you can see that this is some superior crafting. Look at that polish, right? This isn't your etch and sketch stuff that you'd find in the boxes of the Serapeum or even Dorite statues of Sphinx. And here, I'll show that right now if I can find it. Here we are. But yeah, check it out. You can clearly see the different levels of sophistication on this. You have one thing that's, beautiful. They're using light, they're using, depth perception, polish. It's beautiful. It's immaculate, right? And then at the same time, you have this, flint and chisel, flint dibble shit just etched into it, trying to write a name on it. And this is how these things have been dated. This is a great example right here, right? This is from Uncharted X. Obviously I don't have any of my own videos, so I just kind of screen record and share this stuff with you guys just because it's amazing to me, honestly. But yes, and then so here we'll go into the Serapeum. Same exact situation. Even the scoop marks in the granite are polished. How? They want you to think that they did this with a pounding stone. Literally, they were sitting down and pounding away at this with a rock. It makes no sense at all. And you can literally see how perfect these things are. Look inside of the box when it gets to that point. Perfect 90-degree angles, beautiful, absolutely stunning. I don't know, 50, maybe 60 tons, right? 100 feet underground at the Serapeum. And then we have, this is how they want you to believe that these things were made, okay? How they carved out these beautiful granite structures. I just can't get over just how beautiful this stuff is, Yeah, so this is what they want you to think they did. They want you to think that they took this rock, this Dorite rock, and continuously pounded away to make these grooves, to make these test pits that go, 10 feet into the ground. And what's really interesting is you see the same kind of quarry marks at sites like the at the Ellora Caves, and how we even see the nubs in China on those gigantic megalithic blocks. You see the nubs located at located in South America, in Peru. This is some of the, just carved out of the living rock. Here's some of the polygonal stacking right here. This is not your typical people pounding away at this rock, this granite rock, making these structures. This is flipped over, right? Look at this. It's just, what happened. It looks like somebody just kicked it and knocked it down, right? Or maybe a giant flood came in and destroyed it, right? And this is the exact thing that you find all over the world. The same kind of destruction, the same kind of situation. These sites, beautifully carved, magnificent granite structures, hundreds of tons, sometimes thousands of tons, right? Transported miles, hundreds of miles, and stacked in these precise ways. all just disheveled, like the remnants of some ancient culture. And so this is the Ellora site, which I find extremely interesting. I think that a lot of the answers are actually carved into the Kalashi temple at the Ellora caves, which technically isn't really a cave. It's an actual mountain that, a mountain face that's been carved into. And this is from Stu the Traveler. This dude, he has an accent, so when you listen to it, it's really nice. Just type in Ellora Caves and he'll pop up. It's absolutely beautiful. I have another one of it. Let me find that. Here we are. And this is just one temple. They have 100, maybe more of these temples, that have been etched into the actual mountain face, the basalt. I should just pull up a freaking a map to show you guys. I wonder if I can while this plays. Let us see. Or never mind, I won't try it. I'm trying to do this right now, so excuse me. Here we go. This is a great one. I love this one. The Temple of the Sun. Like, do you see these blocks just scattered everywhere? Truly amazing. This is from Uncharted X with the dudes from the Brothers of the Serpent. But you could see the different sophistication of engineering here. Clearly, you have one civilization that was building with these, megaton granite blocks, and then you have another one that's just stacking tiny little blocks up, right? Like, this isn't the same culture that was doing this at all. Here's another image of the site in South America. This is like Hanapachu or something. It's carved out of the living rock. It's beautiful. Pumapunku. This is a great image of the Serapeum box right there. You can't tell me that these were made by, people who were hunter-gatherers and just one day decided to make these absolutely elaborate structures, with building engineering that is not matched to this day. Like, how do they flatten the stone? It looks like a belt sander was just taken to it and flattened completely. Let's see. Actually, there's a really cool, let me do this, just in hopes that it doesn't freeze on me. Okay, so we'll exit out of here, and this will talk about like the cutting into the stone. Okay, so I'll just let this play.
Also worthy of note here is that the copper of the blade is ground away by the sand, just like the granite, and Stocks reported losing nearly 0.5 kilogram of copper from his blade over 14 hours of use. Using these material removal rates, Chris Dunn estimated how long it might have taken to simply rough out the granite box that is found inside the Middle Pyramid, the so-called sarcophagus attributed to Khafra. We're not talking about the finishing or polishing of the box, nor about hollowing it out and forming the internal surfaces and corners. This is purely making the 6 basic cuts to shape the box, the top and bottom, and the north, south, east, and west faces. Based on Dennis Stock's result, it would have taken some 6,270 hours of grinding with a copper bar to make these cuts.
As you can see here, we achieved this in just a few days.
That's more than 261 days of 24 hours a day, non-stop work, just to get the basic shape of the box completed. And there's probably far more work involved in hollowing it out, finishing it, and then polishing it after that step.
Alright, so yeah, please excuse that. Still trying to figure out this, but you just saw that video and basically telling you about the difficulties that they would come up with trying to That was actually Ashton Forbes' podcast about to start talking about the MH370 videos that were teleported. But yes, that same kind of technology is what I've theorized these things were built with. Okay, I know it sounds crazy, but when you start getting into the technologies behind like plasma and piezoelectric energy, the 0 point, the ether, and even their religions and religious texts in the back and in the past, they talk about these ancient beings who were highly technologically advanced that created this. And I somewhat think that this was Atlantis, and these beings from Atlantis may have ascended their physical form. This picture right here is a great example of the test pit that I was talking about earlier. These things are dug into the ground, and they really want you to think that they were just like chipping away at this rock, getting these perfect tunnels, well, not perfect, but very well done, right? Let's see if I have some more videos that I'd like to share with you all today. Here we go. Oh, this is my favorite statue right there that just passed. That's 1,000 tons of straight up rose granite transported from 500 miles away from the Aswan quarry. When this thing was carved out of the rock, it was not a perfectly carved statue, so it had a lot of extra rock on it, and it would be upwards to like 14,000 tons or 1,400 tons, 1,400 tons, then moved, then carved. It's staggering, and the fact that the academic world has been able to basically hoodwink the population with thinking that these were made by your basic Flint tools and stuff like that is truly embarrassing to our collective intelligence. People literally will defend this kind of thinking, right? Saying, oh, well, they just did it with their attributed tools, even though there's clear signs of tool marks and engineering and precise mathematics, precision down to the micron, very esoteric and advanced sacred geometry encoded into the actual structures, connected with the earth, the natural resonant frequency of the planet. No, like, it's incredibly obvious that there was an advanced civilization that existed in deep antiquity, and these are the remnants of their civilization. Now, where did they go? It could be something like Star Trek, or not Star Trek. Well, Star Trek did have this in it, but could be something like Stargate, Stargate Atlantis, where they're able to ascend their physical form and inhabit this etheric realm of pure energy and consciousness. And this falls into line with the woo-woo, and it all has a basis in science. So it's not your typical magic, this isn't like some fairies and stuff like that. This is actual science that makes sense. Plasma physics, we are able to connect to this etheric realm, or the 0 point, with our consciousness. And this is what the gateway process was telling us. The CIA documents that told us remote viewing and other things like that are real. Well, how in the world is somebody able to remote view an area hundreds of miles away, drawing up a perfect replica of some secret submarine base, or figure out the picture inside of a drawer, in some random spot in the world? Well, it's because our consciousness, our thoughts, are able to interact with this field, this subspace, this 0 point that encompasses everything, right? This is the interdimensional aspect, and it's able to traverse and pick a point where it wants to go and experience it. Like, we are not like just physical beings having this physical experience. We are plasmatic energy consciousness that are inhabiting these bodies, and having this experience. And the simple fact that we have this soul, it's still connected to that ether, or some people call it the Akashic Records. Digging into more of Edgar Casey's work has really opened my eyes to a lot of this stuff that I've pushed aside, and now here I find myself trying to find like a medium that can, like, I'm curious now. I'm like, well, if this works, like, let me see, because I've had my own personal experiences. This isn't like, I'm just coming into this and finding all this information, be like, oh, it's completely real. No, I've had experiences where like I've been completely dumbfounded and had to basically accept it and be like, okay, well, that is actually a thing, and it takes a grown-up attitude to do that and to not just push it away and deny it, right? And I think that's what a lot of people are having a problem with, is just growing up and accepting the reality in front of them. They don't want to. They're comfortable inside of this little 6,000 space that they have, where Jesus came, died for their sins, or the other religions that people uphold vehemently and won't turn away from it at all, right? Their ideology, the academic world, the scientific world, is technically a religion. They ignore anything that refutes what they're putting forward because it goes against their belief, even though the evidence suggests otherwise, right? All right, so after that little monologue, this is the other thing I wanted to share with you all. This is, we'll do this one first. This is Elephantine Island. And if you can't tell that this is due to machinery, then I don't know what will. It's 100% obvious what you're seeing here. Look at all this rubble behind it. This isn't like an army came in and just started smashing up buildings and flipping, the remnants of these blocks over and tossing them into the water or making piles. These blocks that are pieces of something much bigger are 5 tons, 1 ton minimum, right? It's it's truly an amazing reality we exist in. This is another one of my favorites. This is the Osirian temple right here. Beautiful, and this goes down, I think, 50 meters. And there's a water source that, and the laws of thermodynamics doesn't make sense because of its ability to retain heat or some sort of scientific thing behind it. I've looked into it, but I'm no scientist. But yes, this is a great site, and I love it. And here's some more of the precision carving.
Expected a block on the Giza plateau that
some more of that. Like, you can clearly see that this is machined of some kind. Some form of technology was used to create this, right? And this isn't your one-off thing. There are hundreds of these. We just have to wait for them to turn the camera and you'll see it. Beautiful. Oh, and this book, Lost Technologies of Ancient Egypt, I can actually strongly recommend it because it's very good. Christopher Dunn. And his new book. I listened to it on Audible. It's amazing, honestly. Change my perspective of the ancient world. 100%. Easily. But do you see the
12-inch straight edge along the crown of the convex radius there? I could not detect any variation, which would be revealed by light showing through the straight edge's interface with the stone. At several locations around the arc, I repeated the inspection with the gauge, coaxial with the centerline of the radius, and found remarkable consistency. From a photograph taken at the end of the cornice, we discovered that the ancient Egyptians applied the geometry of tangent circles in building three-dimensional form. I tried to detect a variation in the smoothness of the transition between the large concave radius and the small convex radius, but I could detect nothing but perfection of form. There are no ripples on the surface. There are no ridges or bumps or depressions. The precision and geometry of the piece cause it to stand apart from many other artifacts lying around it. The evidence from granite artifacts at Giza and other locations that ancient craftspeople used high-speed motorized machinery and what we might call modern techniques in non-conventional machining such as ultrasonics warrants serious study by qualified, open-minded people who can approach the subject without prejudice or preconceived notions. The implications of such discoveries are tremendous in terms of a more thorough understanding of the level of technology employed by the ancient pyramid builders. The precision in these artifacts is irrefutable. Even if we ignore the question of how they were produced, we are still faced with the question of why such precision was needed. Revelation of new data invariably raises new questions. In this case, it is understandable for skeptics to ask, where are the machines? But machines are tools, and the question should be applied universally and can be asked of anyone who believes other methods may have been used. The truth is that no tools have been found to explain any theory on how the pyramids were built or the granite boxes were cut.
Stuff. I hope that this is a great introduction. I know I have 4 other videos or 3 other videos where I talk about this kind of stuff, and a little bit more well done, honestly. And I am excited to get back to that, but I just need to get a better system because iMovie just takes forever to edit. But yeah, to me personally, the evidence is 100% irrefutable. When you consider that each one of these places all over the world have the exact same building method, building technique, using the same kind of rock, this crystalline granite. They're all using megalithic stones, they're not using small stones, or they're just carving directly into, rock and making these structures. So, yeah, this is my, what I'm trying to do. It's a cool problem solving thing, just to figure out how do I get people to understand what is really going on, and that this is an actual reality that is being presented in front of us. In this video, I love when he puts his hand on it and you can just see how massive this thing is. Again, just look at the beautiful detail that is on the stone. And they really want you to think that they did this with flint and steel, And this isn't even getting into the mathematical precision that is encoded into these structures. It's unreal. Actually, I think I can show a picture of that. Let me just pause this, and I'll put this on for the time being. Here we go. Alrighty, so this will just show a quick demonstration of just how perfect. You see that symmetry? And that's one example. On the stone bases, they have, encoded in them the essence of sacred geometry. Right. Yeah. And we're talking about precision and tolerances within the micron, right? You can't do that looking at it with your eyes. You need to have a machine, you need to have a system, you need a 5-axis CNC machine, right? But I guess I'll just end this here, and this is just kind of like a test, and I'll probably just still post it. But yeah, first of many, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Much love. Peace out.